You get to choose a life with magic or a life without. I choose magic. Hey there, it's Deb D, your host of You Are the Magic, the show that is supporting you in connecting to that magic within you. Through storytelling, magic activations, solo episodes, and special guest speakers, we are going to explore the magical realm and how you can anchor into magical you in grounded, practical, let's make it real and a part of your everyday type of magic. My intention and hope is that by listening to the episodes, you will access this magic inside you so that each day and in every breath, you anchor into that truth. Because it is true, my friend, you are the magic. Welcome, my friends, to Lucky 7. Today we are at episode 7 in our air season, and today we are indeed lucky because we are going to be met by a special guest. For all season long, we're exploring the air element and the different ways that the air element can inform and inspire our big, beautiful, magical lives, plus also this idea of the story of our lives and the evolution of that story. And, you know, we have been venturing through magical mindset and tapping into our intuition. And today we go to a new part of the playground with the air element and our special guest. Because what we're going to be exploring today is the air element's influence and inspiration around our communication. And so today we're going to be met by Ali. And Ali is a sound and vibrational healer, as well as the CEO and co-founder of Soul Camp Creative. So if you're picking up what I'm putting down here, I was like, Ali, please come and join me in the air season, because sound and vibrational healing, that's absolutely communication through those sound waves, which Ali's going to share a little bit about that. Plus, Soul Camp Creative, what they do, Ali and her team and her co-founder, what they're doing is they're supporting people to bring their soul's work out and communicate it through their brand and their websites. So when I connected with Ali, I was like, oh yes, please, there's a match, not only for me and Ali as amazing magic makers doing what we do in the world, but also for supporting us all in understanding this air element. So, lucky 7 indeed. How lucky are we today to have Ali joining us? I'm going to bring Ali up onto the stage now so we can begin to play with this new way of playing with our air element. Hey,
Deb,
Ali.
Hello, Deb. I just love listening to you. Your voice is just the best. It might be the accent, but it's also all the love that's inside of you.
You know, thanks. I made it myself, Ali. I made it myself.
You did. You're communicating your gorgeous inside.
Yeah. So, Ali, thank you for being here in this magical moment. For everyone, and Ali owned this as well. All of the women who I invite to share time with me on You Are the Magic are women who I have identified as, oh, she's living in her big life and making some magic happen. So, you know, own that, my friend, because it is true. And so I want to start with what I ask all of the guests: share with us, tell us, give us an insight into what is the magic that you create and share with the world.
Love this question. I create magic. I aim to create magic when it's overflowing inside of me, literally everywhere I go. In my work, that looks like creating spaces, retreats, sessions for people to slow down, get back into alignment so that they can make the waves in the world that they are meant to. It's like a play on sound waves, but like the impact, right? And that doesn't need to be like you have your own business. That could just be like, who you're standing next to in the grocery store line. And, you know, as you mentioned, I create magic through working with visionaries and mission-based businesses that are needing to communicate what they do, but they're working on, you know, heart level, soul level, and the mind level. So how do we package all of that and express what it is that they're doing through their brands, through their messaging, how they talk about it. So that's the magic I do in my work. And I just love to, like, I don't know, I love to love. I'm a lover. So I bring a lot of that magic wherever I go in the world as well.
Yeah, and I will say I felt that. So when we connected, the first time Ali and I met was actually at a lunch in January in New York City. And there was like, I don't know, 10 or 11 women around that lunch table. And I was sitting there with like, I want Ali to be my new friend. Like I could feel it across the table, because it is like you can actually feel people's energy. And there are people that you feel drawn towards with like, I want to know more about you, or there might be something that you can share with me that I need, or vice versa. But we feel like this, it's almost like the invisible communication that we have, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, like even you were saying, like sometimes you do speak to the person next to you in the grocery line store.
Yeah.
Because there's an energy there of like, there's a space here where we could openly communicate. There's something there.
Yeah. I will say, I recently, I'm sure you and other people that are listening to this have heard of Esther Perel's work, but I recently went to her show. She's a sex therapist, relationship therapist. She's a podcast. And she is talking a lot about how, like, we're just on our phones all the time. We're not looking up, like, what happened to our connections. And after just that reminder, because sometimes we just need that reminder, I've been so aware of, like, who's around me. What if my, like, new best friend is literally standing next to me and I'm missing it because I'm scrolling on Instagram? Like, I don't want that life. I want to be available for all the abundance that's around me. And like, so, I mean, I'm still addicted to TikTok and Instagram. I am human.
I mean, yeah.
I'm aware of it more. And like, it's just something that I'm aware of. But I loved how you introduced me, like the things that I realized when you were talking was like, with the alignment and sound and vibrational work that I do, which we'll get into, and then also the branding, like there's this piece of when we're doing the branding work, what we're aiming to do is communicate your essence. Like we all have an essence.
Mm-hmm.
We all have that magic essence, and it's almost unnameable because we're spirit. We are divine, magical beings that can't be encompassed in one word, right? But and that's the difficulty of communication and being in a human body. But we do have language, we do have words, and how do we use those words to be able to allow the magnitude of who we are to express that, right? And that's the like thing, the game we play. It's like that internal who we are. We're communicating who we are every single second through our vibration and through our words. And it's interesting just being in this field. I'll just share, like, I am someone who, my throat chakra, and I would shut down. I did not say anything that I thought. Like, I am someone that's something I've really had to work on and still continue to do. But it's what allows me to help other people as well learn to communicate a little bit more about their truth and who they are in the world. So.
Yeah, I cannot agree with you more. Like, firstly, I say your words are your wand. Like let's pick up the magic wand, and like what you say matters. Who you say it to, the emphasis behind what you say to yourself, how you're communicating to yourself. Like, it's all in that, thoughts create your reality, your thoughts become things. But I also just want to like also share this moment with you of, for me, it's not always been easy to communicate who I am, the essence of who I am, because it felt scary.
Oh, yeah.
to be somebody in the world who says, hey, I like making magic. I can hear a lot of voices that are not my own. My intuition is my first sense. Like if I had to pick a character in a lineup, I'm close to the fairy, but I'm actually more the witch. Like that's actually not always the easiest thing to communicate in a world that has a lot of opinions about who we should or shouldn't be. And that's not always connected to this essence of who we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to, just acknowledge that for everybody. So if anyone's listening with just like, look at these two women who are like in their lives and in their magic and we're still there with clearing throat chakras and finding the courage to express and communicate who we are. Because I just like normalizing it for people. It's like, we're all giving it a red hot go here.
Yes.
All of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're at that precipice, right, of in the world that we live in today. I mean, I think the work that you and I do and everyone who's listening, you're magic makers. So in that, right, you're however you define yourself, you're a healer, you're a magic maker, you're a divine being. I mean, we all are divine beings, but you acknowledge it, right? We used way back when in ancient times, like we were revered. There was a time where this was revered. And then it wasn't, right? And we were burned at the stake and we were, killed for our gifts. And we're being called to come back, but that lives in ourselves. That's terrifying to out ourselves in the world as healers, as people doing the work that we do. That's so innate and so natural to what life wants from us. But it's not as widely accepted. So yeah, we're brave.
And also building businesses around that.
Yeah.
So let me go here with you, Ali. So being the sound and vibrational healer, I and correct me if I'm wrong, that didn't come first. Working with Soul Camp Creative and building that business came first, right?
Yeah, I had a bunch of things, and I don't even know if you know this, but what came first was, my background's in graphic design. So I was doing that before Soul Camp Creative. I had that. I was doing, I was a body confidence coach. So I was really teaching women how to feel great inside of their bodies. And while I was doing that, that's when I was learning all the things. Like I became a Reiki master, right? Like I was learning, seeking training. And my business partner, Michelle, and I started Soul Camp, adult sleepaway camps for the soul. So we did those retreats, which then turned into Soul Camp Creative. So there's been many iterations of what I'm creating. But you're right to say that the sound healing kind of happened in the middle of that. So that was about 8 years ago, and around the time that Soul Camp Creative started as well.
Yeah, and when we met in January earlier in the year and we started to kind of explore our connection, you were sharing with me around this evolution of you in terms of where Soul Camp Creative's going as a business and where you want to go as this sound and vibrational healer. And I think we all hit these points in our evolution where it's not a straight line.
No.
And there's some moments of uncomfortable, I don't know which way to go. There's a lot that happens there where I think this is where people can get confused or lost quite easily in the evolution. And so just share with us a little bit, Ali, around like for you, because you have evolved more than once.
Oh yeah. More than once.
And so, so what can you share that's either really helped you or that you've learned through this allowing yourself to evolve?
I think, the first thing that I want to start with to just kind of land it in like a little bit more, just like, okay, what was happening when I first met you is that, and I've always had this, like what has feels like a tug of war. Like I have this heart that like, I'm a brander. I want to build, I have a 7-figure business branding agency. I want to work with corporations and I do, but you can even feel how I talk about that. There's this like, I want to work with corporations in this way, right? That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but there's that. And then there's like, I'm a sound and vibrational healer, and I support people in getting back into alignment with themselves. And I create ways to regulate nervous systems so that your bodies can heal, so you can hear your inner voice. And I've always been on that track of how do these two things coexist, right?
Mm.
And I think, even just in the time that we've known each other, Deb, like in the last 5 months, something that I have learned deeply that I do want to share is that like our minds want to make sense of the different aspects of ourselves and the ways that we express ourselves. And like, I know I'm a multi-passionate, creative human being, and it might not make sense to me, but even like when you just introduced me, I'm like, makes sense to Deb. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and it's okay that I don't quite understand, but I can trust myself that it doesn't need to be either or. I don't need to make any drastic decisions. I can just continue to follow and listen and show up in the ways that feel bountiful and beautiful for me, right? So like I've needed to own a lot more of that healing work, and I get to do it with my clients, Soul Camp Creative. And I'll even use an example, like one of them lives in LA, and she's an incredible, I consider her a healer. She's a therapist. She has a big community that she supports in healing chronic pain. And I invited her to my sound bath, and she was like, oh my God, Ali, like, I want you to do this at my Omega retreat. And I'm doing that this month. And I'm helping her with her website, right? And her brand and communicating what she does. And it's very practical. Like we're getting a project done. But those two things can coexist, and they don't negate each other. So my learning is like, can you just, even if you can't understand it, can we just allow these different parts to just be? They're not even like, they just be.
Yeah.
Exist.
Yeah. Yeah. The meaning making of the mind is a minefield. It's like, it's going to take you through some twists and some turns.
Yeah.
And I completely get it, because the world constantly asks us, who are you and what do you do?
Yeah.
Like we are constantly asked to kind of like stand up and be accounted for. But it's like, well, you can be accounted for all the different colors that you bring to the world in whatever way that it happens. And when we're working in intuition, and when we're working being intuitively led, again, it's not going to always be this perfect match. Look, stitch it up. There it is with the bow. That makes complete sense.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of opportunity potentially missed when people like put the weight on, I don't understand how, instead of, I don't know how, but let's go.
Yeah.
What's possible?
100%. And something else I do want to share too, that's been a big learning, and I think could be helpful for anyone that's watching, is that often if we are in the healing arts, or we're magic makers, right, we can put into a box like what that looks like. And right, if we are true, like sovereign divine beings here to serve, like we can do that in any single way, right? So that's why like my path has not been this linear thing. I'm doing one thing. I've been continuing to evolve, but like I can be just as much of a healer as a CEO of a multi-million-dollar branding agency as if I wasn't doing the singing bowls, right? Like those are both in equal measure. They can be spiritual. You can bring your love. It's where you're bringing your service. And I had this vision that really helped me. And I think I told you about it, Deb. That was like our businesses, or the things that we create. So like our families, our passion projects, whatever they are, we can look at them as like temples. Like I looked at this as like, what I'm creating is there's a temple. And there's moments where I go, I want this temple to give me my fuel. Like that is my fuel. And it's like, wait a second. No. The magic, the universe, God is my fuel, my inspiration. My life is my inspiration. I bring that to this temple that I'm creating, right? And that temple can be whatever it is. My job is to fuel it, to serve it, to give to it. And that was when I saw that visual, for me, it was a big shift. And it's something I always have to remember, because we can get in this trap of like, if you have the job that you want, if you create the career you want, like your life's going to be amazing. It's like, wait a second. No. Your life can be the inspiration that you bring to what you create. It needs to be.
Yeah. And whether that's your business or the work you do or the relationships that we have, the families we create, like all of it. And the thing about that temple is it's also going to continue to grow.
Yes.
And change.
Yep.
You know, like I get that in, you know, Big Life Magic really as a business is, you know, still in, you know, earlier stages. I'm in the year that we've had our 3rd birthday. I'm now in my 4th year. Like for businesses, yes, thank you very much. Thank you. I'll acknowledge that. But for businesses, that's still actually quite young in terms of the evolution of the business.
Yeah.
And the amount of times that Big Life Magic has said, hey, we're going to shift now, Deborah, and made me uncomfortable with that shift. And sometimes it's been the most amazing thing, and sometimes it's been really confronting.
Yeah.
But what I now see is Big Life Magic is not me. Big Life Magic has its own entity.
Yes.
And I have my own relationship with it, and I can communicate with my business, and my business can communicate back to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there was something that you shared that I was like, oh, I want to know more about that. Because I said, Ali, what would you want to talk about? And Ali said, I want to talk about the 3 eyes. And I'm talking I, the letter, not like 3 eyes, because that would be a different conversation, which maybe we'll have another day. But take us now, Ali, because as soon as you said that, I was like, I'm not going to ask any more questions about that. I'm just really deeply curious.
Yeah.
I want to be like our listeners and the people watching, exploring it with you. Yeah. So take us there now, Ali. What are the 3 eyes?
Okay, so I want to say I learned the 3 eyes. So as a sound and vibrational healer, this practice comes from the time of the Buddha, and just like Buddhism, it is taught through oral tradition. So this is a practice that is taught from mentor to mentor to mentor. It is, the frameworks can shift depending on what time you're in. And one of the frameworks that I learned from my mentor are the 3 eyes. And I also trained sound and vibrational practitioners. So I'm teaching them this, but I love it because it's applicable to me as a service provider, when I am doing my sound healings. But what I see in it, which is why I brought it up to you and what I think is going to be amazing, is actually these 3 things, if we are paying attention to them, will apply to every part of life. So the 3 eyes are intuition, intention, and integrity. And when we are clear on all of these, again, that's when the magic will happen. So let me dive into them. So intention is, am I clear on why I'm doing the thing that I'm doing, right? What is my intention? When we think of my sound healing sessions, right, my intention is to serve the client in front of me. My intention is to be of highest service. But in your life, whatever that is, what is your clear intention for what you're doing? And when we walk through life intentionally, things start to look a little bit different. I'll just say, Deb, you know this, I just got back from Italy, and when I was traveling, I was really clear, in each spot, as much as I could, what's my intention here? It's my intention. And my intention for this trip was not to have this deep, I was on a yoga retreat and I did some solo travel. It wasn't I'm going to have this deep, soulful experience. My intention was to enjoy life. And I was really clear on that. I wanted to soak in the beauty. I wanted to see the people. I wanted to eat good food. I wanted to delve into the pleasure of Italy. And that intention shifted my experience because, I made different decisions based on where I was going. I was in Rome for a day, instead of going sightseeing, I was this spa looks really nice. Because I was there to integrate the rest of the experience that last day. So my intention really dictates my experience, right? Then there is integrity. So integrity is am I showing up with the utmost honesty that I can? So what this looks like as a sound and vibrational practitioner, and my integrity, like, did I use clean sheets on the bed? Did I make the space the way that it's supposed to look? Did I set everything up the way I needed? Am I available for this session? Right? Am I sick? Am I in a space where I'm not going to be able to serve? Like, I need to check in on that, because if I am not, I'm not in integrity by showing up. If I don't, clean the sheets between sessions, if I don't set up the space the way that it's supposed to be set up, I'm not in integrity in the way that I'm serving. So that's really important. So that's what that looks like there in life, right? Am I showing up? Am I clear? Am I honest about what I'm experiencing? So this is going to go back to the communication, right? Am I honest about what I'm experiencing right now? Have I done the things I said I was going to do? Like one of the big things in my partnership, because I hate doing the dishes. Like I say sometimes, oh, I'll do the dishes, and I look at them and I'm like, oh, I don't know what it is that I hate doing. I've always done. I'm like, oh. And then if I'm in integrity, if I said I was going to do it, I do it. Or if I said I was going to do it and I really don't want to, when my partner comes in, I really didn't want to do them today. Not like, like, hey, the dishes weren't done. Like, I wouldn't be in integrity because I said I was going to do them, right? So that's the integrity. And then intuition is knowing, okay, so specifically, again, we'll use the framework for when I am a practitioner as a sound vibrational healer. I know that what I'm experiencing, seeing, hearing, if the rest of those pieces, if I'm in integrity and I have clear intention, that's my intuition. Like if I have a headache, it's because there is a block around what my client's experiencing with their path. Like they don't want to see it. I'm experiencing it through my body. My intuition is telling me, right? If I'm hearing something, like that's my intuition. But if I'm not in integrity and I'm not clear in my intention, my intuition won't be as clearly, I won't be able to hear it as clear. And so these are like this, like I like to think of them as like a 3-legged stool, really, that if I am in integrity, like I'm showing up, I'm saying, I'm doing what I said I was going to do, I am really clear on communicating like where I'm at and if I'm available for something. If I am clear on my intention, what that is, and I trust what my intuition is saying, holy, that's the magic maker, because those 3 things together, then it's like you can do anything. Like I really do feel like you're unstoppable in that. And as a practitioner, those are the 3 things that, like, if we focus on them, like golden. It's not saying like you're going to do everything, but you've done all you can to support this person's healing in front of you. And then in life, like you've done all you can to allow for the magic that's all around us to be received.
I love frameworks. I call it spiritual scaffolding.
Yes.
Because I think in the magic realm, in the spiritual teaching world, in the, let's manifest our best lives possible, there's a lot of noise out there. And it can actually make us feel really overwhelmed and confused. So things like this with like the 3 eyes, let me check in with the 3 eyes. What's my intention in being here? What's my integrity, alignment with this? And am I open to my intuition guiding the next step? Yeah, it's beautiful scaffolding.
Yeah.
And I think it's, like you shared, you can take it into a session with a client, but I think you could also take it into the evolution of you. You could take it into your own story. You could take it into big conversations you have to have with business partners or your loved one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just, again, a way to kind of scaffold these moments when we can feel like it's either not holding us together on the inside, or we kind of lose ground, like we're not quite sure. Because I think that happens in the evolution of our stories when things are changing. Because when we're open to our intuition may tell us a step to take that doesn't make any sense.
And it's terrifying.
And it's terrifying.
Yeah.
You know, but if your intention is like, there's a woman who I'm working with at the moment. I do have an offering called Elite Energetic Alignment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for women in their big life making the magic happen. And I'm their energy guide. I'm helping them to connect with their intuition, making sure their vibration is high so that they can actually make that magic happen in the world, make those changes and those ripples and waves. Anyway, this woman who I'm working with, before we even began the work, because she's so busy, like it took us a couple of weeks before session 1, right? And she was like, but what about now? Like, you know, like the calendar doesn't align for me because I'm speaking at that conference and I'm traveling here, but what about now? And I said, well, what about anchoring into your intention? By saying yes to doing this work with me, you are intending that things are going to change. And she said, I like that. She wrote it on a sticky note and she put it next to her laptop. And then 2 weeks later, when we connected, I was like, how are you? And she was like, everything's changed. And I said, great, what's changed? And she said, actually, nothing around me has changed, but this sticky note, knowing that I have this intention that I am turning up for things to change, that the things that haven't been working, I'm not going to accept anymore, that I have accepted support, that I'm now like navigating myself with my inner compass towards opening to this change, like just simply that intention. And she didn't do anything different. She didn't do anything different in her daily life.
Yeah.
But setting that intention, you know, and then, you know, part of the work is connecting to the intuition and, you know, like I'm completely with you in the 3-legged stool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what happens if one of those legs is broken?
We're wobbly. It really, if you think about it like a stool, right? We're wobbly. We're not as grounded in it, in our experience. And, you know, I'm a big believer, like I have a higher power of my own understanding that is a benevolent force. Like it's a beautiful, loving force. So nothing bad. It's not like I'm going to be punished for this. Like I want to say that because a lot of us can come to these sorts of and if I don't do these things right, but I will feel wobbly and I'm not going to be able to. The way I see it is like we are vessels for love. So if my integrity is not, you know, if that leg of the stool is not there and I have my intuition and my intention, okay, great. Like just intention alone is beautiful, right? And my intuition, I might be able to hear, but I also will be wobbly in that because I might be like, oh, but like, what if this is my intuition? What if this is my intuition? And am I really going to be able to trust my intuition? And like, but if I'm in integrity, because I've done what I said I'm going to do, I'm taking, you know, I'm cleaning my apartment, I'm taking care of myself and my body. Like there's a lot more strength that I have to navigate what's in front of me. Like I can move through the challenges that life is going to bring, right? Life is always going to life.
Absolutely.
Storms are always going to come in. The sun is always going to be there on the other side. Like that we live through these rhythms as human beings. But what if we could move through them with the knowing and that sturdiness? And then also like when the stool gets knocked over, we just know we're going to come back because we know the 3 things we need to, because it is going to get knocked over, right? Like that's all a part of this. And I'm someone who like can tend towards perfectionism. So I have so much compassion for myself and people that do this. And I can bring it to my spiritual practice. And I did very much so. And like, there's been a lot of undoing with that. Cause I'm like, yeah, this isn't about perfection. There's nothing you need to do. This is not that. Like, no. These are just helpful tools, helpful frameworks to support us through life's challenges so we can stay connected to ourselves amidst whatever is going on. Like that's the most important thing.
Yeah. And I think the intention and even intuition is probably where people would kind of know to go.
Yeah.
But the integrity is, I think it is pivotal, like vital, because it brings that self-responsibility. Like, what am I responsible for in this?
Yeah.
Because also when we're in the evolution of our lives and when we're wanting to either manifest something different or heal a certain part of our world or move to the next chapter, we can't like hands up and just give it to the universe. You know, here's my intention. I'm ready to change, universe. It's like, well, how are you turning up for that too? What's your part to play in that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like we have to show up and care for the things around us. Like I find in my life, like I feel not only the strongest, but I feel like I have the most amount of divine power when I am like in integrity with like cleaning my space. You can tell a theme here. When I'm doing the dishes, like when I'm moving my body, when I'm when I'm eating well, like when I'm in integrity in that way and caring for my world. This is also a little bit of my astrology chart because I like know Earth. So like I need those things are really important to me personally. But there's going to be things for you like in your own life, like where do you not show up with like full integrity, right? And actually when you were talking, I thought of this example that I wanted to share. A friend of mine and we do a gratitude practice every morning and we call each other at 7:30 in the morning and we just go through like, here's what we're grateful for and here's what we invite in. And there was one day and like, it was a text message. My friend texted me and said like, hey, can we talk before we do the gratitude practice? How can we chat before we do the gratitude practice? And I thought she was just like, let's chit chat. So I was like, let's do the practice and then chat. And she was so like upset because what she was actually trying to communicate to me, so back to communication, was, hey, I'm not in a space to say gratitudes. I need to first like talk through this big thing that's up for me. And I can't get into gratitude. So can we do that first? And I didn't know that, of course, right? So like there was this piece that I realized, I'm like, that's the integrity. She was telling me in her own way, like we got there finally, like it was like, hey, like to be in integrity with this practice, like I actually just need like some perspective. I need to get this out. Like I can't even say one thing I'm grateful for right now. I'm that far from love in this moment. And like that was so beautiful. Like we had such a great lesson from even just that interaction, but I remembered it when you were talking. I'm like, that's what integrity looks like.
Yeah, beautiful. And there's times when I imagine one of the legs of the stool is going to need more attention than the other.
Yeah.
You know, because our intentions can change.
Absolutely.
Too, you know, and they can change quite quickly, particularly when we're saying yes to our intuition. Like at the moment, I'm in week 3 of a 4-week intuition intensive with the Big Life Magic Makers, those who have opted in for this masterclass journey with me. And I've said to everyone, like, you know, there's the invitation that for 30 minutes a day for the next 30 days, your intuition is going to have the space to play. Like you decide for yourself, but my invitation is that you figure out in your calendar, is that in the morning or is that in the evening? But like this is an intensive. We're going to get intensely into our intuition. So we make this space. And so as the teacher facilitator at the beginning, I had this big question around my life and a direction. And it was connecting to lots of different parts of me. And I was like, I'm going to do what I teach. I'm going to actually just let this evolve over the next 30 days. So I set the intention that I was going to allow intuition to be my playmate, that I was going to stay in integrity with wanting to actually find what is in my highest good, like what's actually for me, not what I think needs to please other people or make sense. You know, I said to the universe, I'm open to seeing what I'm not ready to see. Like I'm setting my intention to do this, thinking that it's going to take the whole 30 days for it to unravel. By day 3, I was given a whole new navigation point, right? Because I thought it was all about this one big part of my life. And when I turned up with my clear intention, with integrity, saying, I'm going to turn up for this universe, I'm here for it, intuition, let's go. It took less than 3 days, not only for me to get the answer that I was seeking, but also to be given the next navigation point. They're like, oh, you were looking in the wrong direction, Deb. Actually, it's that way.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, bing, bang, bong, look at that.
See?
I could have spent 30 days trying to go the wrong way.
And what I love about that story, Deb, and you is like your integrity as a facilitator and teacher. You're not on this pedestal of like, I've got this all figured out, guys, right? The integrity there was, oh, there's this piece that is, if I pretend isn't there, is also going to keep me from facilitating to the best of my ability. So we're going to show up, and that's that integrity, so beautiful, so important to model.
Like, yeah, and I turn up. Like, I turn up in the Big Life Magic Makers, the community, or here on the podcast, or any other places, and I'm absolutely open to telling you the times when it didn't work, or like last week's episode when I was like, no, universe, I'm not going that way, because I think it's true. It's like, this is a part of, that's also what I meant with this integrity of like the ownership of your path and your part to play. I think it's really important, because I do see people moving into spiritual practice and wanting to be guided by intuition and setting a new moon intention, and then wondering why things aren't maybe changing the way that they want them to. And I asked them, I said, so what have you been doing? Yeah. And there's a little bit of radio silence. or what have you been doing? Well, I've been doing what I've always been doing. And it's like, okay, well, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to get what you got. Absolutely. Like, yeah. Well, how juicy. I want to just kind of touch on something which may be a curiosity for people listening, because we've said it now many times. Sound and vibrational healing.
Oh, yes. We haven't even talked about
it. And we've both made the assumption that everyone knows what that is and what that's like and what a practitioner of that would do. But I want you to just share a little bit about that, and then I'm going to share for everyone how you can actually be with the Big Life Magic Makers for a sound healing experience, because Ali is coming to our community and you're invited. But let's just begin with, like, peel it back. What is that?
I'm so glad you said that, because you're right. Because before I experienced this, I had no clue what it was. So sound and vibrational healing is, using the power of sound and sound waves, which are vibrational waves, to influence and resonate with a certain, what's the word? I'm going to start over for just a second. I'm like, that's not the way I want to explain it. So there's Tibetan singing bowls. That's my practice, but there's also crystal singing bowls. There's didgeridoos. There's music. There are many ways that we make sound, right? There's oming, there's chanting, and sound and vibrational healing in the way that I practice through Tibetan singing bowls is a healing modality that uses the power of sound, and really the principle of sympathetic resonance, which means, right, two different objects that are vibrating at different vibrations. The one that has the stronger vibration, because we're all vibration, every single little thing, right? Even the desk, the chair you're sitting on, the desk your computer's on, that is all made up of atoms that are vibrating at a certain speed. The larger and more pure resonance will influence the other one. There's like many different science experiments that have shown this. So what happens in sound and vibrational healing is that we're using really pure, and there's a lot of intention that's been put into these bowls, but pure sound to bring us back into harmony with ourselves. So we do a lot, first and foremost, it's nervous system regulation. And then there is a lot of, we're made up of water. So we're really, really influenced by our vibrations. So music can really influence us, sound. So we use it intentionally to bring us back into harmony and alignment with ourselves. And it can be a really powerful mirror of where we are internally. So we can hear, it basically can magnify what we are experiencing inside. So we can hear and begin to see the energy that we're experiencing. So if we're, have a really tight knot in our stomach because we are not in a place of confidence and we are really feeling disempowered, right? We can hear that the bowl that goes on that solar plexus part of the body, like it is not going to, it's going to sing very differently than it would be if we were in that relaxed state of full power inside of ourselves and beautiful self-esteem. So it's a powerful mirror. It's a place to go to heal. I mean, it can heal on 3 different levels: the spiritual, the emotional, spiritual, and physical levels. And yeah, that's what it is.
I love sound healing. Like when I found it, I was like, oh, new treat. Thank you very much. I'll be back for more. And the reason I love it is because I can't do talk therapy, because I will talk my way out of any tricky spot.
Yeah.
I will talk my way into convincing the therapist that I'm fine so I can get out of that room.
Yeah.
But when I'm in sound healing, it's that mirror, like just that opening up to what am I not listening to, or what is the universe trying to tell me that I can't hear?
Yeah.
Like I've had some really, really beautiful, beautiful healings with sound healing in particular, some in a group, some on my own, one-on-one. But for me, it's that like get the thinking out of the way, get the normal way we communicate out of the way and just come back to the essence of who we are, which is we're just all vibing around. We're just all vibrational beings vibing off each other, and it gives us this time to actually just really listen to your own vibe.
Yeah. It's so magical. Yeah. And it can feel so nourishing. And for the most part, it does. And sometimes it can be really confronting, like to feel something in your body that you have been avoiding and not wanting to feel. But no matter what, it's incredibly powerful because it's a liquid sound and vibrations, a liquid language. Like that's why I like talk about it. So coming back to communication, air element, like we are again always communicating with each other through this liquid language of vibration and sound, and we might not be aware of that, but we always are. And what's really just juicy and lovely about being in a sound bath or experiencing a one-on-one session is like we get to live in that liquid language, like beyond words, and experience our being. And that's really like what we're here to do, right? Like experience our being.
Yeah.
And then we can bring that out into the world and like share the goodness.
Yeah. And then figure out how you want to communicate that, your big life magic. So if you are tuning in and it's before June 13th, 2024, and you're like, I want some of that sound healing magic. I want to be with Ali. I want to be sitting in the group virtually, so you can be anywhere in the world. And I also just want to say this. I've sometimes done this work as a replay. Like, because I know some other sound healers like in Australia and different parts of the world, and sometimes their offerings are in the middle of the night for me. Yeah. So, I'm talking to our magic makers I know who tune in from the United Kingdom and Australia and anywhere else across the world, because we're global people. We're global. You can still let Ali and I know so that you can get on that guest list, which will ensure you get the replay, because then you can replay and go into your own sound healing moment and Ali will lead you and guide you. The magic will hold you. It's going to be amazing. And we're going to share more about how that can happen in terms of wanting to connect with us. It's all in the details below wherever you're watching or listening. But Ali, let's now go to how do people stay connected to you if they're like, I want more of that Ali magic.
Come find me. I'd love to play. You can do it at my website is soulcamcreative.com. And then on Instagram, I'm playing at Alison Leipzig. So I go by Ali, but all my professional things are Alison. So ALISON and then Leipzig. I'm on Instagram there, Soulcam Creative on Instagram. And that's where you can find me. Let's play.
Yeah, let's play. Indeed, all of those links are again below. So link away, my friends. And now let's wrap up this beautiful Magic 7 episode with what we always do, which is the episode dedication. And as the guest, you get to dedicate this episode, Ali. So over to you for the dedication.
I want to dedicate this to all of the children in the world that are healers and sensitives and artists and don't know it and are like feeling lost, like I want to dedicate this one to them, because I can't wait till they find and see and have the people to reflect their incredible nature. So this is dedicated to them.
Oh, I love that so much. I actually saw that wrapping around the world as you were sharing that. So everyone listening and watching, is there a child in your life that you just want to send some love their way right now so they know how amazing they are, and that when they grow into their amazingness, they have this anchor of knowing somebody believes in me? Yes, beautiful. Everybody stay connected to Ali. Stay connected to the magic in you. If you do want to be with us in the Big Life Magic Makers, reach out to us, because you are welcome to join us. But for now, that's Lucky 7, a wrap. And we're going to finish in the way that we always do. Big, deep breath, my friends, and breathe it in and know it to be true, because it is.
And so
It's you, my friend. You are the magic. Thank you for spending your time and your magic with me in the latest episode of You Are the Magic. I invite you now to click the link for Attune. It's a 5-day intuition activation, which means over 5 days, you will receive an audio activation from me, which is going to support you in tuning your intuition, your magical insight, the magical language that lives within you and connects you to our divine, glorious universe. Because I believe it. If we are all connected to our intuition, then we're all in ease, fun, play in the magical realm, and that's where your big life magic lives. Other ways to stay connected to me and Big Life Magic is all available to you on the website, biglifemagic.com. There you'll find the links and information for the Big Life Magic Makers, our virtual community for women. You may choose to join the membership. We would be delighted to welcome you. Plus, there's more information about working one-on-one with me or joining a new moon circle, which is available every new moon, open to anyone across the globe who wishes to join us. There's so many ways that we can connect together and connect to your magic, and I invite you to say yes to that now. I'm also going to ask this. If this episode or this show has inspired you or changed anything in your world, I would deeply appreciate a review on the platform that you're watching or listening on. For I believe when we share and elevate each other, our magic expands. And this is what I wish for us all. So breathe it in now, my magical friend. Breathe it in and smile, for it's true. You, my friend, are the magic.